Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I have an opinion, like I always do. But in case you didn't know, a few things have developed in regards to Tszyu and Fundora. And I'm going to tell you how I think it's going to affect Earl Spence and Southpaw Man, Terrence Crawford. Tszyu and Fundora have been suspended after that extremely bloody war that took place this past weekend. And now you got a whole nother twist as far as to what's going to happen immediately, what's going to happen in the near future, and what's going to happen way down the road. Now, Tszyu and Fundora, if you didn't see it, that was one of the bloodiest fights that I've ever seen. The shit was like World War III in the ring. But anyway, as a result of the fight, Fundora had his nose blasted off of his face, and Tszyu had a hole. He ended up with a hole in his head with his brains all over the ring. But Fundora ended up receiving a 6-month suspension, and so did Tszyu. But this is what makes it interesting, because the type of injuries that they sustained, right, means they could be out the ring a little bit longer. Now, the Nevada State Athletic Commission, they went on to say that Tszyu shouldn't be back in the ring until May 15th or after. Now, Tszyu ended up getting 10 stitches on his scalp. Now, what happened is there's an unfortunate event where Fundora, being so tall and lanky, with those super sharp elbows, he inadvertently hit Tszyu on top of the head. Some people say Tszyu tripped over Fundora's feet. Other people say Tszyu was rushing in. Bottom line is, it wasn't done on purpose, and Tszyu ended up with a huge hole in his head with his blood and with his brains and blood gushing all out. Now, Fundora suffered a broken nose in the very first round. Now, if you didn't see the fight, Tszyu was putting the Aussie Bing Beans on Fundora. But although Fundora was put on a 6-week suspension, he's being told he's not allowed to come back until September 27th, unless he sees an ENT doctor, ear, nose, and throat specialist before and is cleared. And then his suspension will also be over the 15th of May as well. Now, when you look at that, right? Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm a guy who likes to deal with things that are explicit. And that's just how I'm programmed. If you tell me that I'm suspended for 6 weeks, I can accept that. But you can't come out here now and say, well, we're going to add another provisional suspension and put you out the ring to the 27th of September. My man, what is it? Why would you even mention 15 May as far as Sebastian Fundora returning to the ring if you're saying the 27th of September? It should be you're suspended until the 27th of September. However, if you see the ENT doctor and he gives you a pass, you can return as early as May 15th. But this makes me feel like when it comes to Tszyu, when it comes to Fundora, I can see where what's his name is going to be made. Fundora is going to be made champion in recess. And they're going to basically say, hey, you guys are holding up the division, because this is what the problem is, right? Fundora is already set to go see the ENT because he wants to make sure his nose and everything is going to heal properly, because his nose was shattered. And what's his name? Fundora's promoter, the guy's name is Likowitz or something like that. He's saying that they don't want Fundora back in the ring until November. So again, they're saying as early as May 15th. Then they come back and they say he's out until September. Now they come back and his father and promoter are saying they don't want him in the ring until at least November. So what happened? His son needs the layoff? What layoff? He's coming off a layoff. The nose injury, I get that. I understand that. So But tell you how all this is going to play together. Tim Tszyu's trainer, right? His uncle is his trainer. His dad's sister, his dad is Kosta Tszyu. Kosta Tszyu's sister married this guy, Igor Gulubev. Anyway, he's saying that Tim Tszyu, he probably won't return until the end of the year. 6 to 9 months is what he's saying. They don't plan to do any sparring. They just need to have a fight locked in. If they get a fight locked in, they'll work backwards from that date. Now, this is where it gets tricky. Fundora has been ordered to defend his WBO belt against mandatory super challenger Terence Crawford, the pound-for-pound king, according to most. And the defense will be required within 6 months of Sunday's fight, unless Fundora can demonstrate his medical recovery requires a longer period. The order requires negotiations to take place prior to April 25th. But the WBC and promoters PBC are seeking a fight between Fundora and Earl Spence, another big money fight, even though Fundora's promoter is saying they will honor the rematch with Tim Tszyu. But now, with all of these date changes and suspensions and who's going to be out the ring to the end of the year, it is believed that Fundora and Tim Tszyu are not going to be allowed to hold up the 154-pound division, and that Sebastian Fundora is going to be made champion in recess. And his WBO belt will be put up for Terence Crawford to fight whoever is the number one ranked at 154 under the WBO. And then Earl Spence will be able to fight for the vacant WBC belt against whoever's ranked number one by the WBC at 154 pounds. Now, that's one direction this could go. The other direction is they could sit there and take both titles, which I think would just be, crazy. But, anything's possible, and have Spence and Crawford fight for both. And at the same time, but I don't think that will happen because those sanctioning bodies are independent of each other. I personally think Crawford will fight for the vacant WBO, and Earl Spence will fight for the vacant WBC. And then once Tim Tszyu comes back, he'll get a direct shot at probably Crawford, and then Sebastian Fundora may get a direct shot at Spence. But the reality is Fundora should get a direct shot at either one because he's the guy with both titles. But there's so much controversy and conversation surrounding the way that fight went between Tim Tszyu and Fundora that I could see Tim Tszyu coming back and just being able to walk into a big fight, especially with Crawford, if Crawford ends up fighting for the WBO strap at 154, if Sebastian Fundora is forced to vacate and become champion in recess. Secret society is in full effect here. Now, I do think, without me going and talking secret society and making jokes, I do think Fundora needs time off. I think Tim Tszyu needs time off. I really do. It's not that Tim Tszyu took a lot of damage. I don't think he needs much time off at all. He didn't take a lot of damage to me. It just looked horrible because of that gash on his head, and he lost a lot of blood. But for this to be April, I can't see him back in the ring in May. April, May, June, July, August. I think Tszyu will be just fine. Fundora, a little bit different, man. He had his nose blasted off his face, so May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Yeah, 6 months. 6 months, so we just got to see. But again, like I said, you could see where Fundora, he could end up holding on to both of those belts. They're putting him in a precarious position now because they want to honor the rematch and fight Tszyu. But then again, they're like, hey, we get it. You guys have a rematch. But I'm sure there's some discussions taking place as far as the WBO, and they're concerned with like, hey, you got this rematch, but we're going to force you to make a decision. You either fight the mandatory and get negotiations underway, or you choose not to, and even though you got your nose blasted off your face and you're trying to heal up and you want to do this rematch, Well, cool. You'll lose the WBO belt, and then you can sit there and you guys can rematch for the WBC belt. As if the WBC wants to cooperate, but I can't see the WBC wanting to wait until the end of this year to have that belt in rotation. I think the WBC will want that belt back on the table about around the summer, July, August at the latest. But if not, excuse me, I think they definitely are going to force Fundora to vacate it. Now, the bottom line is when you think about where's the big money at? And I'm going to tell you, I think more and more for Fundora, maybe Earl Spence Jr. is a big fight, in Dallas, a huge fight, big money. But Fundora fighting Tszyu in Australia is another huge opportunity. But outside of those matches, I just really feel Spence and Crawford. As much as I think Crawford will get in there and annihilate Earl Spence, I just think. I mean, look at what happened. It's like they've laid the red carpet out. They've cleared the path for Earl Spence and Crawford to fight. Now I'm gonna save this for another video because I'm already 11 minutes in. But this is what's happening. There's no excuses now. No roadblocks, no nothing. It's the only thing going on here, what we want to talk about roadblocks, is the other side of the street bullshit happening right now. Spence is on PBC. Crawford's an independent contractor. So he's on the other side of the street, just not with Top Rank. Other side of the street being an independent contractor. And that is creating problems for making the fight. But right now, the 154-pound division is wide open. There's no reason why these two, especially with an opportunity like what presenting itself right now, where you got Fundora and Tszyu out to probably the end of the year, according to their trainers, and then you got the the commission saying, hey, these guys need some time off to heal up. There needs to be some action at 154. Why not have Spence and Crawford going up there and bang for one of them straps? No one's going to complain to see those guys get up to 154 and fight. They're going to be interested to see it. I think there's huge money in the rematch, but I have a feeling it won't happen. As a result, the 154-pound division is going to be stagnated. It's not going to be very attractive as far as the fights being made over the next 6 months, and it's a travesty. But still a little bit early, a little premature to start becoming overly pessimistic. Let's just wait and see what happens because this could go several directions. But I personally think they're going to make Fundora a champion in recess so they can make Spence and Crawford for one of those belts, if not both of the belts, or have Spence fight somebody for a belt, Crawford fight somebody for a belt. If I'm wrong, it's okay. I'm just having a conversation. I'm just speculating, making some assumptions, and giving a predictive analysis. Keep cool, I'm in the breeze.